Welcome to the 311 Griffin YouTube channel. I thought I'd try out the Mosquito in the 2-week trial period. And I'm not a warbird guy. I mean, I love warbirds in real life, and I love the fact that we have access to them here in DCS. And the British made some really stunning warbirds in their, design evolutions, and some quite effective planes as well. So I really do enjoy getting to know the Spitfire and the Mosquito a little better. I would like to learn more about the German ones too, just because I think they are some neat aircraft and very capable aircraft as well. But it's hard enough for me to learn modules. I only own the Mustang and the Spitfire, and I hardly ever fly them because as far as the sim goes, I'm just not I'm not that good at flying them, as you'll see in this video. I'm not that effective with them. I spend more time dying and crashing than I do being successful. So I don't take the time to really learn them. I usually concentrate on more modern fighters, but the warbirds are kind of interesting, and so I'm really glad that I got a chance to try out the Mosquito. For one, and I've said this before, I don't really like every business decision that Eagle Dynamics makes, but I think that they have done some. They've shown a lot of love for their community in allowing us to do these 2-week trial periods just to try aircraft out, and I hope that it pays off for them, because it's a really cool thing that they've done, to allow, I can try the Mosquito out and see how it compares to other warbirds, see if it's something that I could see myself spending a lot of time in, and that's pretty cool. So as far as starting it up, it's pretty simple. Taxiing, I don't really like the way non-American warbirds taxi. I just don't like it. I don't understand what's wrong with with toe brakes, differential braking, and things like that. Taking off, really difficult. A lot of the warbirds are this way, and I think if I understand correctly, both engines or both props turn the same direction on the Mosquito, which is kind of interesting to me. Seems like you'd want them to contra-rotate. I don't know what I'm doing wrong that causes me to lose control during the takeoff. But the Mustang rolls really hard, but it's pretty consistent and it's pretty easy to overcome. I think the Spitfire kind of does that too, but again, it's pretty easy to overcome. This Mosquito is just really difficult for me to take off, and I'm sure it's something I'm doing wrong, but I set the trim on that last takeoff, or on this takeoff. This is the external view of it. I set the trim probably a little bit off. Also, I don't think that this was smoking. I've got the engine set up wrong or something, so I think the radiator's smoking, or the oil cooler or something. I haven't studied enough to know exactly what part the smoke's coming out of there, but looks like the engine right there. I don't know, but there's a lot of things I'm doing wrong. These modules are, you kind of have to know what you're doing with your engine management and stuff. Here I'm fighting with the wheels, trying to get the gear up while I was fighting with the plane. I thought I had it steadied out, but nope. So we died. This takeoff was a little better. I think I just anticipated the fight a little bit better. But anyway, it can be a little bit difficult. And it can be a little bit difficult for me to fly. I don't have curves set here. I later set some curves. I don't like using curves in DCS. I just I'm not a fan of having to set up curves, and I don't think you should, at least in the modern aircraft. But some people like it that way, and I've heard that in warbirds it's almost necessary. So I did later set up some curves, and it seemed to help a little bit. But there you go. That takeoff wasn't too terrible. And here's the external view of it. We're going to get into the combat here in a minute, and I'll just say before we get there that I think that, well, so far the way they've got this module set up, it can take more punishment than the Mustang or the Spitfire can. And it can deal out a lot more punishment, which makes sense. I mean, I think that both of those things are fairly accurate. This aircraft in real life was made mostly out of plywood. That wasn't necessarily so that bullets would go through it. It was to save on aluminum, or aluminium, if you will, and other materials. It was just to try to kind of win the war of attrition, so to speak. And I think it's brilliant. One of the things that I have read is that because it was made of plywood, that if you didn't hit a really critical part of the aircraft, it would the bullets would just kind of go through it and it would keep flying, which that's fairly common for those old planes that were canvas and wood, and even some aluminum structure with a skin over it and things like that. You know, bullets kind of punch through that stuff. So unless you can catch it on fire and start it burning, or unless you can hit the pilot or the engines or the radiator or some kind of critical component, you aren't going to do much to it. So that seems pretty believable. And this thing does have quite the array of guns on the front. That's one of the things that I think is really cool about it, is it's fast and it's got a bunch of guns, and they're pretty powerful. So so it's fun to fly around. It's a little bit for me to handle, even with the curves. It's pretty agile for being a slightly bigger plane. And I've also read that the like what got it out of danger more often was its agility, not its speed. So especially when it was up against FW-190s and things like that. That's just what I've read online from some different sources. So it does seem to be pretty agile. It'll turn. You've got to be careful with it. I've stalled it out so many times and gotten it into flat spins and things just by stalling it out a bit. But it is maneuverable. It's quite capable, and it packs a punch, and it can absorb more damage. So I get shot. I've tried to shoot down Ju-88s with the Spitfire and the Mustang and the Thunderbolt, which is actually my favorite aircraft. I don't own it because I just realized that I'm not flying Warbirds, and the two that I bought I never fly. So I haven't bought the Thunderbird, the Thunderbolt, sorry. But it's my favorite World War II aircraft, certainly, and one of my favorites of all time, kind of thing. But I've never successfully shot down a Ju-88, and I tend to get killed pretty easily. I get eaten up by the gunner, and part of my problem is that my gunnery isn't that great, so I pretty much have to fly behind them and get close enough, and then try to lead them just a little bit if I'm not directly behind them, and then shoot them. And it takes a lot of bullets, and you're kind of a sitting duck back there. So with this thing, I seem to have got shot less, and I did a lot more damage, and I've taken a couple of Ju-88s down. Now the one that I show here in a minute, I actually crashed into it, which took it down. But I've taken a couple down with the Mosquito, so it packs a punch. It's not in this video, but I also fought an Su-27 and got a pretty lucky after the merge and the first turn. I got a pretty lucky hit and just absolutely decimated the one of the horizontal stabilizers and one of the vertical stabilizers, and the wing, and put an engine out. So, and that was just with one burst. So yeah, it packs a punch. Good ground attack. I haven't messed with the bombs in it because I just know that I'm so bad with the gun, I'm going to be even worse with the bombs. But it packs quite a punch, and I think if you took the time to kind of learn how to fly it, and took the time how to aim and use the systems and all that kind of stuff, I think this would be a really fun aircraft to fly. And I have a bit of a fear that every new warbird that gets released is going to be the new best warbird. I don't know that that's true, and like I said, I think that the benefits of the Mosquito seem to be fairly accurate to me, and I'm sure it'll get tweaked over time. But this airplane was fast, it was agile, it's got a lot of firepower, it can absorb some damage and still keep flying. So I don't know that that's unrealistic. And so, you know, anyway, I hope that summarizes kind of my feelings about the module. I'm not going to be buying the module anytime soon because, like I said, I just don't fly warbirds that much, and I'm not good enough at them to really justify buying more of them. I may someday, you know, and I kind of feel bad for not having the P-47. When the Corsair comes out, I'm going to really be tempted to buy that. That's another great aircraft. And it will be fun to, if we can get like an Essex class carrier or some other kind of World War II era carrier and some other World War II era ships. The Corsair would be a lot of fun to fly. Of course, we're going to need a Zero and some other Japanese planes, I think, as well, to make that really fun. But I'd be tempted to buy it. These are all interesting aircraft that I want to learn more about, and I don't want to, you know, I kind of feel bad for taking advantage of the 2-week trial period. And if I just take advantage of it every time and fly them for a little bit every year or every 6 months or whatever, you know, like, well, that's the system. So Eagle Dynamics knows what they're doing, I think, and I guess I can take advantage of that. But like I said, I think that this would be a worthwhile aircraft to buy. I personally am not going to buy it for those reasons that I've stated. And I think that's about it. I think that wraps up what I intended to get accomplished with this video. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope that this kind of mini review or first impressions is helpful to folks. If you're into warbirds and you haven't bought the Mosquito yet, it's probably worth your money and your time. If you're not into warbirds, it's still an interesting aircraft. Give it a try, and if you like it, then, you know, obviously you can purchase it. And if you're like me and you're kind of like, it's really cool, but I don't see myself flying warbirds that much, then, you know, you can pass it by. But like I said, hope it's helpful. And thanks for watching. There's a few more minutes of video of me chasing after this Ju-88. Oh, I wanted to talk about landing. I took the footage out, I think. Oh, actually, no. There is a little bit of footage at the end of the video of me landing and crashing miserably. The first time I landed this aircraft, I did land it. And it wasn't a pretty landing. I had a pretty big bounce, but the aircraft was undamaged. I landed safe. I came to a stop in a straight line. This landing's kind of funny. It looks like I'm trying to stunt the thing, and I don't know. I knew it was wrong as I was landing. I should have gone around. But I just didn't have the plane set up correctly, and I didn't flare correctly, and it wound up being kind of funny. It's a little bit of a handful, so just know that. Also, I didn't have my curves set whenever I did the landing. I do here in this video, I do have some curves set, and it's still kind of wild the way I'm chasing this plane around, but the landing I did not have curves set. Maybe that makes a difference, I don't know. But it should be entertaining if you guys want to see me really wreck a plane good. Okay, so I'm going to shut up. Thanks for watching. Take care. Happy flying.